Hey guys, Marissa at kitchentablestamper.com. I've got another Birds of a Feather card for you. We did this awesome turkey at Coffee and a Card last week. To celebrate that purple posy ink is in stock. We've had a reformulation of this awesome in color ever since the release of the in colors. We haven't been able to get purple posy ink, but Stampin' Up has reformulated it and it is in stock and it's ready to go. So you can get your Stampin' Pad and your refills now. Well, to celebrate that fact, I had to work it into our Coffee and a Card, and I did that by using the Woven Threads Designer Series paper, and then we're going to do a fun letterpress technique with the leaves from the Gathered Leaves dies. All right, so since we're on ink, let's talk about the supplies that you need to make this card. I've got my purple posy Stampin' Pad, Early Espresso Stampin' Pad, Crumb Cake Stampin' Pad, and I've got some Memento Tuxedo Black. We're gonna color our turkey with Stampin' Blends. So I grabbed my purple posy Stampin' Blends, my soft suede Stampin' Blends, I've got light mango melody, crumb cake combo, I've got my basic black combo, pretty peacock combo, and crumb cake combo here. All right, I'll have all those listed on the supply list. There is a project sheet, printable project sheet, always on the blog. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link to the blog post is in the description. All right, let's just look at the tools here. We've got our Birds of a Feather stamp set. That's our big feature here. I love this birds for every season, and you'll see a card with every bird coming up. I'll link them all together after all the videos are done. We're using the Gather Together bundle as supporting elements in this card. So you'll see our background stamping is done with the leaf and the spatter. And we're gonna die cut some leaves, and then we're gonna ink and letterpress our purple posy leaf. My little label for Give Thanks is from the Ornate Frames dies. And then I've got my layering circles. We're gonna use the largest scallop circle from the layering circles. And I've got my stitch shapes, and then we're gonna use the largest stitch circle. All right, let's take a look at the consumable products. I've got a little kit here, and I've got scraps of Early Espresso, Purple Posy, and Pretty Peacock. These are for die cutting our leaves. I've already gone ahead and cut this little label from the Ornate Frames. This is our smaller of the little ornate labels. You see that? It's just cut from Whisper White. I've also already cut the largest stitched shapes circle and the largest scallop circle from Layering Circles, Whisper White, Pretty Peacock. My Designer Series paper is Woven Threads, like I said before, and we've got two pieces of this gorgeous Designer Series paper. The Pretty Peacock pattern is 2x4, and the Purple Posy pattern is 1.5 by 3.5. All the measurements and all the supplies are on that project sheet. Just link on over to it, print it off for free. I've got a card base here. This is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4.25. This is Sahara Sand. I went a little bit lighter with the cardstock, a little bit darker with the ink. All right, speaking of ink, let's do some stamping. I'm gonna get I've also got some linen thread. Sometimes I forget to mention this one, but we're gonna be using a little linen thread bow. All right, now let's get the Stampin' Pads and do some stamping. Okay, I've got lined up here Crumb Cake, Memento Tuxedo Black, and Early Espresso. Let's start with our card base. I'm gonna protect my Stampin' Pierce mat, and let's do our background stamping. I'm gonna stamp on Sahara Sand with Crumb Cake, so we're getting kind of a one shade darker ink, kind of tone on tone, but with a little higher contrast. And we're gonna stamp this big leaf in 3 corners, just like we did for the Halloween card. All right, so there's our leaves. Now we're gonna add a little spatter too. We're gonna ink that up in crumb cake and stamp off. It's very subtle. Just gives us a little more texture in the background there. Now we've got our turkey here from Birds of a Feather. Let's ink that turkey up in Memento, Tuxedo Black. We need a non-reactive ink because we're gonna color him up with Stampin' Blends. So stamp him pretty well centered. Ooh, what a great image. All right, and then Give Thanks, we're gonna ink up in Early Espresso to coordinate with our Early Espresso leaves. And we're gonna stamp that right centered on our label here. Okay, let me clear away the stamping pads. We're gonna do a little die cutting. All right, I'm back with the Big Shot, and we are going to do our leaves. We can do all 3 leaves at once if we use each of these cool dies from the Gathered Leaves dies. Now look at these. They're great leaf shape, but look at the texture on these guys. Isn't that cool? So it's going to cut and impress all in one. So we're gonna do the smallest on the Pretty Peacock and the medium one on the Early Espresso. Before we do our Purple Posy die cutting, we're gonna take this leaf, we're gonna pop it right on top of the Purple Posy ink pad and just press the center of the leaf, and we're actually inking it up like you would a stamp. Isn't that cool? Now we're gonna send this through the machine. The machine's gonna apply pressure, and all those little inked areas are going to emboss, and the edge is gonna cut. So you'll get like a letterpress effect. It's so cool. So just pop that Purple Posy inked up die right on your Purple Posy cardstock. Let's go ahead and run these through. Okay, so we're out on the other side here. And let me show you how cool this is. All right, so here's our Early Espresso leaf. Let's pull away. Now, can you see all the texture there? So the cut actually impressed all the details and embossed it, and the edge cut. So all in one pass, we've got impress and cut. Now, if you look at the Purple Posy leaf, do you see how cool that is? So it has cut, embossed, and stamped in those details like a letterpress all in one pass. Isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? I love these dies. It was totally the selling point. This is why I bought the bundle. This is why I bought the Gather Together bundle. The big leaf that we used on the background, and then these cool dies. Isn't that fun? All right, let's get some coloring done here. Get rid of the Big Shot and get the Stampin' Blends. Okay, I've got my sample in here, and we're gonna do some coloring with the Stampin' Blends, some basic blending. I've got my turkey and my light suede, soft suede, and I'm going to just color in the turkey, avoiding the areas in the apron and the face. Can do in smaller segments. That'll help you if you want to do some shading. So like where the hat would cast a shadow, we'll put a little dark soft suede. We'll go down the left or the right side here, turkey's left, add a little shadow, and then bring the 2 shades of soft suede together. I'll do that for turkey's whole body, all the areas that would be the soft suede. All right, so there's our soft suede turkey. Let's grab some crumb cake here. We're gonna do the top of the pie with the light crumb cake. And then just a little bit of shadows here to show the shape of the pie. And then we're going to do the tail feathers with the dark crumb cake. except for the very tippy top of the feather there. Do you see? I'm leaving just a little white spot at the very top of each feather. Then we'll go in with the light crumb cake and just bring those two dark crumb cake spots together. And then I'm gonna go back to my light soft suede for just a minute here. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the lighter, do I have light? Let's make sure, yep. The light soft suede at the base of all the tail feathers. We'll bring the dark crumb cake back here and just blend the light soft suede into the crumb cake. All right, that's Turkey's tail. Let's do Turkey's hat. And Turkey's hat is primarily light basic black. And then just fill in, and then we'll draw a tiny shadow in those black pieces. In such a small area, you might not need to bring them together and blend. Let's get our pretty peacock. We're gonna use a lot of this one. I got the light pretty peacock. We're gonna fill in the apron. We'll take the dark pretty peacock and just pull a little bit of shadow along the side of the apron and the side of the pocket, inside the little loops of the bows. Okay, a couple more little touches here. Go with some purple posy here. I always want to call it pretty posy. Pretty peacock, purple posy. We're heavy on the in colors today. Now for this particular color combination, I found that the mango melody, this light mango melody, was a little screaming. Some people agreed with me at Coffee and a Card and some didn't. But what I did was just go over those mango areas with a bit of light crumb cake. It kind of takes off the screaming. It makes it a little more neutral. We're gonna need our crumb cakes again in a minute for the ground. Let's get the buckle on the hat too while we're mangoing. And, oh, I forgot what this is called. Snood, the snood. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda let me know what that's called. It's not a gobble, it's not a wobble, it's a snood. And we're coloring it with cherry cobbler. All right, the last thing we're gonna do is give our turkey a little ground to stand on. And I do that with just dots of crumb cake. We're gonna use the light crumb cake, lots of kind of big dots. Let the marker, let the tip just suck the color and make big dots, and then we'll go back with the light crumb cake over those big dots and just make little dots. It gives kind of a neutral look and ground for our turkey to stand on. You can go back after and use the light crumb cake over the dark crumb cake dots, and it'll soften that look so it looks just kind of modeled and less like dots, more like ground. It dries a little bit lighter, so it's a subtle effect. All right, let's get this card put together, shall we? All right, let's do a little snail and get our designer series papers down. Gonna do a little high of center, but kind of even top and right for our pretty peacock pattern. And then we'll do our purple posy, and it's going to overlap the pretty peacock. And you want about even top and bottom, maybe ½ an inch overlap. We can snail our turkey to our pretty peacock scallop, and then we can snail that right down. You can see it's right of center. We've got our turkey, let's see here. I don't want my turkey to be uphill or downhill. There we go. There's my turkey. Now, our leaves, let's get those in. Can use some snail. I'm gonna cluster these around the bottom. Can use multi-purpose liquid glue on these guys too. I'm gonna put my purple posy first, then my early espresso, then the pretty peacock to bring them together. Got give thanks here on our little label. Let's add that with some dimensional pieces. Okay, give thanks. And then last, to kind of pull that Sahara sand color back through in our little cluster of leaves here, I'm going to tie a little bitty linen thread bow. Then we can snip that away from the spool. And I'm going to add that onto the corner of the give thanks greeting there. I like the way that it just pulled back that Sahara sand, brought it back to the front. We're going to use a mini glue dot, and I'm just going to fold it up in half or in thirds and put that right on the edge of that give thanks. And I'll put the knot of our bow right in the glue dot. There it is. There's our give thanks birds of a feather card. If you've got any questions about the project or the products, email Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. And to shop Stampin' Up 24/7, buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching.